give this to the guy. What's his name?
Yeah, y'all don't like Twitter here.
Time works with recreation. Works with the kids.
See if I can back in.
Yeah.
You don't let me into social networking, so there's it.
Yeah, that's Cornell.
Yeah.
Tell him I said that.
Oh yeah, thank you. I'm waiting, so I said. All right.
I didn't get the bill.
6 left. There. 6.
I don't have a problem with it.
Which one?
Okay, that way I'm good with it. You will. We, I'm just.
Yeah, may as well.
That's the first thing we're doing, yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 o'clock. Time to begin our October 2nd meeting, and we'll call ourselves to order at this time. And the first thing is Hurricane Florence responders. I'd just like to address that for just a little bit. And of course, I'm sure the council may have something to say also, and if they do, we welcome that. I'd like to take a moment just to acknowledge the publicity and the tireless efforts put forth by so many of the City of Monroe staff before, during, and after the Hurricane Florence. Our city was battered by heavy rains, which led to severe flooding, road closures, scattered power outages. I saw firsthand how our employees took decisive actions to protect our residents, secure our assets, and ensure our community was as safe as it could be. Your actions in a time of need have not gone unnoticed. We saw you fill in sandbags, protect our substation, so we not lose power. We saw you putting out barricades, warning people of the dangerous roadways. We saw you clearing storm drains and 2 feet of water so the water could drain. We saw you keeping us safe. We also know that there was a lot of behind-the-scene efforts to be made by many on behalf of the City Council and roughly the 40,000 residents of this great city. Please accept our gratitude and thanks for all you've done to protect and safeguard the City of Monroe. You're all to be commended for a job well done, and truly we thank you for being professional and dedicated. I had the opportunity, and as well as some other council members, to be out there firsthand. We saw the Red Cross in action. We saw the county in action. We saw the city in action. We saw emergency management in action. From everything I saw, I would give them a superior rating. They did a great job. The command centers were set up, doing a great job. The Red Cross did a great job with the places that they opened for people to come in. I think they had 100 and something people in one shelter, maybe others. I'm not sure about other shelters. But all these folks worked together, come together, and really worked hard and I think did a great job. We've talked about emergency management in the past in our meetings. We've had meetings, we've talked with emergency management. We've seen firsthand how it worked. And the city emergency management, county emergency management, the Red Cross, all came together and worked together and just really made a great job and did a great job, in my opinion, for the city. And I'm sure there's other opinions here also, and I would welcome that. But for saying that, I want to thank the City of Monroe Emergency Management. I want to thank the County Emergency Management for working with us. I want to thank the Red Cross for what they did. And anyone else who had anything to do that I don't know, I want to say thank you. Because in a time like this is when we want to see our folks step up, our emergency management people step up to the plate and do their thing, and they really did that. So folks, I'm saying thank you for what you did, and I know the citizens of Monroe and this county is very thankful for that. But I also want to say this: we was fortunate enough to not suffer like the folks down east and other parts of our country is suffering. They really covered up in water in all areas of the beach area, the east part. So they still suffering. And I want you to know that my prayers and my thoughts are with us folks as well. So thank you for what you've done, and I want to know from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you. Anyone else?
say too, it was a phenomenal job. Had an opportunity to go out with Chief Fowler and with Mr. Faison, our city manager, with Representative R. We actually went to the shelters. The people were treated very, very kindly. They had good food. They had police protection. They had games for the children. Every thought was given to their comfort. We had one shelter up at Porter Ridge that was pet friendly. Had a chance to visit the command center, and it was just phenomenal. The city and county worked together very well, the police. We were blessed that it came through on Saturday rather than Friday. And I saw some of our electricians out dealing with the live wires, and our power was only out, I think, 7 hours at the mast. And even now, some of our fire and police are helping in other cities and counties, and kudos to you. Job well done. I'm proud of the city, and we're blessed to have such dynamic fire and emergency and police. Good job.
I'd like to make one addition. If you folks know, if you ever get up to say something, you leave somebody out, and I certainly don't want to leave. There's a lot of folks, and I don't want to leave anyone out. I want to say about the volunteers who came in here to the county and city to help us in this. One of them was one group was from Miami. I forget how many folks came, high water rescue, and they actually participated in some rescues right here in this county. So thanks to all the volunteers who came in from other cities to help us, as we have now sent folks to other cities to help them. And I certainly don't want to leave them out, so I apologize for doing that. Anything else? If not, we'll go to the consent agenda. Larry?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the City Council. The City Council uses the consent agenda to consider items that are non-controversial and routine. The consent agenda is acted upon by one motion and a vote of the Council. Items may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda at the request of a council member or a citizen with the consent of council. The consent agenda contains the following items. Item number 2 is for the purpose of meeting the annual requirement of adopting a travel policy for the Alcohol Beverage Control Board that conforms to the policy of the appointing authority, which is the City of Monroe, as a requirement set forth by the State ABC Commission. Item 3 is for the purpose of adopting 2 budget amendments. The first of which is to accept a donation from John Levine to the fire department in the amount of $25. The second is to program funds for the replacement of the 45-year-old vehicle lifts at the garage in the amount of $16,611. Item 4 is for the purpose of calling for a public hearing on November 6, 2018 to consider zoning map amendment request to rezone property located along Secret Shortcut from residential single-family R20 to conditional district Veronica Springs, and a text amendment request to amend the Code of Ordinances, Title 15, Land Usage, Chapter 156, Zoning Code, Section 156.98, titled Conditional Districts Established, and Section 156.106, titled Official Zoning Map. Item 5 is for the purpose of awarding a contract for the replacement of 2,400 linear feet of water mains on Charlotte Avenue to KRG Utility in the amount of $398,000 and change. Also to note that staff will hold a community meeting on October 11th from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Benton Heights Elementary School to provide project information to the neighborhood. Item 6 is for the purpose of establishing the blade suspension sign grant policy as part of the group of downtown economic development incentives. Item 7 involves minutes and reports. Item 7A involves disbursements from City Council's discretionary fund. There were 2 sets of disbursements for this period. The first of which Mayor Pro Tem Gary Anderson dispersed to the Union County branch of the NAACP for their 48th annual Freedom Fund banquet and fundraiser, the amount of $30. Councilmember Saluda Anthony had 3 disbursements. The first to the Christian Family Care Home in the amount of $300. Second, Union County Crisis Assistance Ministry in the amount of $300. And third, Union County branch of the NAACP for the 40th Annual Freedom Fund banquet and fundraiser in the amount of $30. Item 7B concerns financial reports for September, and as a summary, I'll highlight several fund balance amounts. The total fund balance as of September 19th is $28,563,000 and change. A few subsets of total fund balance include the fund balance reserved by policy, which sets forth a reserve of 25% of expenditures, is $10,106,000 and change. The unassigned general fund balance is $5.1 million. The total assigned fund balance is $1.4 million. Also, to provide preliminary details on the fund balance calculations as of September 19, 2018, the Finance Department prepared a staff report detailing the calculation of the total estimated fund balance as of June 30, 2018, the amount of $28,563,026. This amount has increased over the total fund balance amount as of June 30th of 2017, last year, which was $27,321,128, a difference of $1,241,000 and change. The report has been provided for information purposes in the published City Council agenda packet. There are 8 sets of minutes, letters 7C through G. Item 7H is summary of contracts awarded, change orders approved, and city manager's settlement of claims. As a summary, there were 47 contracts for the period totaling $399,000 and change, and there were no claims settled during this period. Item 8 is for the purpose of adopting a resolution authorizing the purchase and supply of natural gas from Tenergy Corporation for a 30-year term for approximately 50% of the city's current supply needs. The estimated initial discount will reduce the city's natural gas cost by an estimated $197,000 per year. Item 9 is for the purpose of accepting an additional allocation of 2,000 kW of supplemental power from Southeastern Power Administration. The proposed additional allocation is estimated to increase savings by $36,000 per year for a total of more than $340,000 of savings estimated per year. Item 10 is for the purpose of approving a waiver of water and sewer connection fees in the amount of $7,349 for residents at 406 Southwest Street, so that Union Anson County Habitat for Humanity can build a home at that location. Item 11 is for the purpose of approving a change order with Charles Underwood and Associates in the amount of $6,900, bringing the total contract amount to $105,620 for the installation of the wastewater treatment plant influent pumps. And Mayor, members of the City Council, that concludes my summary of items placed on the City Council's consent agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions, comments, council?
Moved it, they be accepted.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. Have a second. All in favor? Okay. I was looking here. I want to be sure. This, correct me if I'm wrong on this secret price here. This is just for us to go on. We didn't vote on this year, which is on the consent agenda. We're not voting on anything tonight on this.
That's correct.
Well, I want to be sure to tell these folks.
That one's, this one knows about the item that's on the public hearing. There's a different thing, so that one is a different property.
Oh, there's 2 acres, this is different.
Yes.
Okay. I didn't want somebody sitting here.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Working on the agenda, so I want to be, didn't want somebody sitting waiting. Okay. We'll go to the regular agenda now. Okay, item 12, zoning map amendment request. The rezone property located at John Moore and Hickory Grove Drive for residential to low density. All right.
Good evening, I'm Carrie Mendler with the Planning Department. Tonight I'm here to present an update on the Dogwood Forest project. This request was for a 21 single-family residential subdivision located at the corner of John Moore Road and Hickory Grove Drive. This request was presented at the September 4th, 2018 City Council meeting. After hearing concerns from the neighbors regarding traffic and stormwater, City Council tabled this request until the October 2nd meeting in order to have a meeting with the neighbors, the applicant, and staff from planning and engineering. Planning staff held a meeting on September 13th, 2018, with 3 of the residents in the area, council members Saluda Anthony, Lynn Keziah, and Franco McGee, the city attorneys, Jim Lloyd, the engineering director, and Chris Costner with the Stormwater Division. Chris provided updates on the solutions they have planned for this area in regards to the drainage issues. Chris Costner also informed the committee that there are a few projects that will address the drainage issues along Valleydale Road, including pipe replacements and upsizing of pipes and ditch regradings. The minutes from that meeting are attached to the staff report for a full overview of that meeting. The neighbors did seem receptive to the proposed solutions outlined at the meeting regarding the stormwater issues, and the traffic concerns will continue to be monitored by the Public Safety Committee as discussed. As of today, a sign that says "Do Not Block Intersection" has been installed on John Moore Road at the Valleydale intersection. Additionally, work orders have been issued to address the drainage issues on Valleydale. These projects have not been scheduled just yet, but they have had work orders issued. As a reminder, the land development plan indicates this area is suburban. While residential uses typically take the form of neighborhoods with uniform housing types and densities, a mix of housing types and lot sizes is preferred in the suburban locations, and the density for suburban residential is 2 to 4 units per acre. The planning board did recommend approval of the rezoning from R20 residential low density to conditional district dogwood forest. An approval resolution and amended denial resolution is in your packet for consideration. And we have outlined the steps that council will need to take for approval or denial. Be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Any questions, Cap? Hearing none. Okay, thank you, ma'am. This is a public hearing. It was continued from September the 4th council meeting. Is anyone here who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone here who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the hearing and take action.
Motion to adopt resolution approving land development plan compliance.
Second.
Okay. You say something. Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Any opposed? Okay, that will pass. I'd like to thank the committee that served on this. Thank you folks for stepping up and helping us out.
Two more things.
Two more things I gotta do.
Okay,
And motion to adopt ordinance approving zoning map amendment.
okay.
Exactly.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Item D.
Then they go.
Motion to adopt ordinance amending code of ordinances.
Okay, have a motion. Need a second?
Second.
Have a motion, and a second. All in favor on D? That takes care of C and D. And again, thank you folks for stepping up and helping us, the community. I'm sorry?
Can I ask you a question?
Yes, sir, you may. Yeah, if you'll come to the podium. Name and address for our record.
James Levinsky, 32 on Valleydale Road. Ms. Anthony, you were working on, of course, you got the sign, the "Do Not Block Intersection." Is there any updates on the on something at Old Charlotte Highway and John Moore yet, or
Okay,
is
the
that
work
still
order,
working?
I don't know if it's gone in or not, but we were going to take it to public safety, but then I got the notice that it didn't have to go before public safety because the city street department was going to take care of it. And it will be done. I don't know if the order is gone in or not yet. For the one that John, the second sign that John,
The request I received was for the "Do Not Block Intersection" sign.
what was the second sign?
We were discussing also something to reduce the traffic at John, coming down John Moore Road off of Old Charlotte Highway.
But you wanted the sign to say, "Do not block driveways"? Is that what was asked?
Well, that was one of them, yeah, and y'all did that, and that was beautiful, and I didn't realize it, but it's actually working.
Okay.
But the actual overall traffic coming through there, that's, we were talking about possibly a stoplight and/or a do not turn onto Valleydale off of John Moore, between certain times of the morning, just to reduce cut-through traffic.
Do not turn opposite. We have to take that under advice, and I guess we'll take that to public safety. We'll act on it.
Very good. Thank you.
It'll be looked at.
Question on that. On tractor-trailer traffic coming through there, Jim, can there not be a stoppage to that? That's a cut through big time for tractor-trailers. John Monroe is.
I believe it's already posted there for trucks. If it's not, I can bring that.
Or are they coming through there right and left? Because I go that way.
They do.
Yeah, you get a lot of tractor-trailers cutting through there.
And they block the intersection for a long time.
Okay. Thank you, folks. Item 13, zoning map.
I think you, let's see, council did vote on, so it says the gentleman addressed council after the council vote. Is that correct? Just want to be sure, Mayor, that you guys have taken
That's what I
action.
think, absolutely. Okay. Zoning map amendment request to rezone property located along Secret Spice Road, conditional.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Doug Britt, Planning Department. Tonight I'm presenting a zoning map amendment request filed by Redwood Living for the property located along Seekers Price Road. The request is to rezone the property from Conditional District Seekers Place to Conditional District Redwood Monroe. The applicant is requesting Conditional District in order to develop the subject property for a market rate residential apartment complex that will consist of 119 one-story, two-bedroom units. Subject property is outlined in blue into orange. This is Seekers Price Road. On this area, this is Fowler Seeker Road, and of course Highway 74. To the north is the Woodland Creek subdivision, and then to the west is the Pruitt Healthcare Rehab Nursing Home Facility. Project is a total of 23.17 acres. The site is currently zoned, as I stated, Seekers, Conditional District Seekers Place, which is an obsolete conditional district. If you recall, back in 2007, that was when there was going to be a Dick's, the Home Depot. There was approximately 650,000 square feet of retail and office area. But so what's left is this area here, as well as this area here where Pruitt is now. Part of that's what's left remaining of that conditional district. And basically this part around the front, which still has that old designation to it, is not part of the request. The only thing the request is this right here. They would be requesting to subdivide this property, what's left of this right here. The applicant is proposing to construct 21 one-story multifamily apartment buildings that will contain a total of 119 dwelling units. Each unit will have a two-car garage and surface parking areas such as a driveway. The number of units will range from the buildings from either a 4-unit building to possibly an 8-unit building. So it'll be 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8-unit buildings. For, like I said, not to exceed a total of 119 units. The project is not specifically an age-targeted project, but is one that will be marketed to older residents and empty nesters. So this is the site plan of the project. And if you can see, some of the buildings are longer than some of the other buildings. And that's, like I said, they will range. Some of the buildings are 4 units, and some are 8 units, 5, 6, and 7 as well. All proposed building setbacks have been satisfied of the proposal. The density of the project is 5.13 units per acre. This is just a color rendering that shows the buildings and site plan in connection with the landscaping requirements that will be required. If you notice this area down the middle, this is a stream which, by ordinance-wise, they're required to provide a 50-foot buffer from the top of bank on each side, so that's why you see the swath of area here. The areas on the back will be their stormwater management features, which will be detention and retention, so they'll be treating the water quantity as well as the water quality. The ordinance requires a minimum of a 50-foot buffer for multifamily projects. The applicant has provided a landscape plan that includes a mixture of large maturing deciduous trees, small maturing deciduous trees, and evergreen trees in order to satisfy the intent and the spirit of the ordinance. Additionally, the applicant has provided a streetscape buffer along Seekers Price Road, which will be in this area right here. That's required by the ordinance. The project is required to provide at least 50% of open space per the ordinance for multifamily projects, which would equal 11.59 acres. The applicant is requesting to only provide 45%, which would be 10.47 acres. And I always say this, remember with the conditional district, they can request deviations of that, and that's one of the deviations they're requesting. Instead of doing the required 11.59, they're requesting to provide 10.47 of acres of open space. Parking wise, the ordinance requires multifamily projects provide a parking rate of 1 space per bedroom plus a half a space per unit. The applicant is proposing for each dwelling unit to have its own 2-car garage, and each driveway that will serve each unit will be able to accommodate 2 vehicles. Based on 119 units, there will be a total of 476 parking spaces between the garages and the driveways total. The applicant is also providing an additional 33 spaces of guest parking throughout the project. Total parking spaces required by the ordinance 298, and developers propose 509. And so I just want to make sure that, so each unit will have a 2-car garage, and there'll be a driveway just like it would look like for any other house. Each driveway will accommodate 2 vehicles. And then the guest parking spaces, you can see location of here, 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 and here as well. And those are just overflow areas in case somebody's having a party or whatnot, you know.
They're like between complexes, the guest parking.
Well, they're not between all the buildings, but there's
I mean, the ones that they are, there's extra space, not at the apartment, but at the adjoining.
right, just nearby, you know. And they kind of, you know, put them kind of here and there throughout so it can be somewhat accommodating to most people if they're having more people over than normal expected. The project does fall within the Porter Elementary School District, as well as the Piedmont Middle and Piedmont High School District. Developers proposing to install sidewalk on one side of each of the interior private drives. Plan staff has also recommend that sidewalk be also provided along the exterior road frontage of Seekers Price Road. So staff is requesting sidewalk be provided along this area here, and as well they'll have sidewalk on one side of each private drive. I touched on the stormwater and stream buffer. They'll be required to provide stormwater to meet the requirements of the stormwater manual, and that will be reviewed if this is approved at the land development commercial permit phase of it by engineering department. And as well as also I touched on the stream that goes through the middle of the property. They're required to provide the 50-foot stream buffer, which they've indicated on the site plan. Transportation-wise, the project is located off Seekers Price Road, which is partially private and partially maintained by the city of Monroe. And I'm going to get back to this for a second. And this goes back to the project we done in 2007, the conditional district Seekers Place, which was basically this, and this over here. And at the time that this was approved, like I said, it was 650,000 square feet of commercial area, Home Depot, Dick's. At the time this was approved, at the same night, council also voted to abandon, because you got to remember it's going to be a shopping center, so it's going to be filled with parking lots and buildings. So this portion from here out to Highway 74 was abandoned by the city at that time at the developer's request. And since that time, obviously shopping center doesn't happen. So what we have now is once you turn off of Fowler Seekers Road on Seekers Price, from this portion basically to just past Woodlands Creek Drive, that's maintained by the city. And then from this portion to Highway 74 is privately maintained. Now the maintenance for this project Redwood, they'll maintain the portion that's along their property frontage, and the other portion will be maintained by the people that own it now as well. And they can touch on more about that as far as, because that's something they got to work out between the person they're buying the property from about the maintenance of the street.
Who is looking after that portion of the road now? I heard you say the other people.
Well, it's maintained by the property owners, because the city takes no maintenance or assumes no maintenance responsibility for it, because we don't maintain it and we don't
I
own it.
understand that. But my question is, after that would be this, if these houses are approved and all that stuff is built, how does the folks who live there gonna know that these people gonna continue to do this road like they're supposed to?
And that's an agreement that the Redwood Living was going to have with the people that own the property.
Now, that's what I'm talking about. I see so many of it going down one way and it wound up, nobody fixes the road.
Right, well, you know, and that's, and we've shared, as staff, you know, we have a concern too, when you see private streets too, because they always end up being an issue, but at this point in time, you know, the only way the city will be able to maintain this is if somebody petitioned the city to take this back over and bring the street up to the current standards for us to be able to take it over.
Yeah, yes, I understand that, and you're right, but I'm just thinking about down the road, when so-and-so's supposed to be taking care of this portion of the road, you got 200 people living out there, and they can't figure out why they can't get the road fixed. And you know, we've
Yes.
had some of that in the past.
I understand that's a valid concern.
That needs to be cleared up.
And
Is
that's,
that owned by a developer or a private individual?
I mean, it's owned by a private individual. I mean, you know, I feel sure that at some point down the road, that portion of.
Somebody's gonna have to, somebody, in my opinion, needs to own that part of the road to be sure it's kept up.
I agree.
You don't, it'll wind up, nobody owns it, and nobody wants to keep it up.
Okay, I'll go on now, source. All the private drives on the interior of the project will be maintained by the developer Redwood Living. The city of Monroe will not have any street maintenance responsibilities within the development. So, and I want to touch on now, what we would call these look like streets. These are all just private drives. This is no more different than a private drive if you're going to park at a parking space at Walmart or Target. How you have to drive on the drive aisle to get to that parking space. This is no different than this. And you know, typically when you see residential projects, you see they'll record the lots and they'll create a right of way. But this right here will remain one parcel. It's not going to be divided up into 119 different lots. It's going to be one parcel at the end of the day. A traffic impact analysis was submitted and reviewed by the City of Monroe Engineering Department. Based on number of units and the projected trip generation for this project, no transportation improvements were warranted along Fowler Seekers or Highway 74. And at this time, I'll just go over a few of the elevations they have. There's a couple more. And then these are the additional ones too here. The heated living area for each unit will range from 1,300 to 1,500 square feet, and like I said, they will have each unit will have a two-car garage. The plan board did make the finding that the proposal was consistent with the land development plan. The applicant held a neighborhood meeting on Tuesday, July 17th at the site to discuss the project with the neighbors. There were approximately 15 to 20 neighbors that attended the meeting. Some of the concerns raised at the meeting were stormwater, traffic, the density, and just the general development of the property in general. And the developer tried to address those concerns best they could with their, density. They had 5.14 units per acre. They did submit a traffic study, and it was reviewed by the city, and we determined there wasn't any type of impacts that or improvements need to happen. And the stormwater will be addressed if this project is approved. When they go through the site plan review process, will be reviewed to make sure it meets both the water quality and the water quantity. Plan board didn't recommend approval of it. I'll be glad to answer any questions, and developers here to answer any questions you have also, if you have any.
Okay, you said this was not age specific, but it was geared toward empty nesters?
It is. So, and just somebody that lived in their 20s, they can move in there, but to say that they have a pool and a playground set up for kids, they don't offer that. So it's not something that's, somebody could move in there that was younger, but it's not really geared toward that per se. And they can speak better to that than I can probably.
And they're all single story.
Yes, sir, they're all single story. And as far as the council action tonight, City Council need to take the action on the following items. 1, a motion to adopt the resolution approving or denying the land development compliance statement. 2, if the resolution of the land development plan compliance is approved, the City Council also need to make a motion on the following 2 items. A motion to adopt the ordinance amending section 156.98 conditional district established, and also a motion to adopt ordinance amending section 156.106 official zoning map. And finally, if the residents of undeveloped plants is denied, the city council also need to make the following motions: a motion to deny the zoning map amendment. And I'll conclude my presentation.
You said that in the meeting with the homeowners, that it was maybe 15 to 20 there, there were just some general concerns, but most of those were resolved with the developer.
Probably the one issue that's not resolved, it was being the traffic, because there was some concerns, there was a lot of concerns about the traffic that, because you gotta remember too, with Woodland Creek subdivision, when Woodland Creek was approved, I think it was 2007, 2008, because I know when I first working here, there was only about 8 houses built out there, and it remained dormant for a number of years because of the recession. And then in the last several years is almost built out now for what's left of it. And there were some concerns about the people that lived on Seekers Price, as well as there at the corner of Seekers Price and Fowler Street, about the number of the traffic they had through there. But we asked them, we didn't require them, but we strongly suggested they provide some type of traffic assessment to be reviewed by the city, and they did provide that, and our engineering department determined there wasn't enough trips generated to warrant any type of improvements. And there was one, at the neighborhood meeting also, it was brought up too, would the city be interested in possibly cul-de-sacking Seekers Price Road, basically cul-de-sacking it on the eastern side of Woodlands Creek Drive. So basically, the only people that would access Seekers Price Drive, if the city did that, would be these people that basically live from the pond out to Fowler Seekers, and then Woodlands Creek, and then this project would only have access based on this way. We did discuss that with engineering as well as the fire department, and that was something that was not receptive as far as doing that, just from an emergency standpoint. It would be able to provide services and have more way in and one way in and one way out of the projects. So that was explored, but that was not, staff was not in favor of that request at the engineering or the fire departments.
Okay, thank you.
What was the vote of the planning board?
The vote of the planning board was unanimous.
To approve.
For approval, yes.
For approval.
Yes, sir.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you were talking about the road that runs into Highway 74. I think the developer needs to take access to that, put a road in that the city can take over.
Yeah,
In other words, build it to where the city can then maintain it from then on, and that way we don't run into a road with potholes everywhere.
yeah, I think we may have an opportunity. I believe that they're signing the speaker. It looks like it is. Is it Mr. Thurman? You one of the owners, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, we'll get to you in just a minute. I want to be sure I was right. It said Alcott. Okay, any other questions of Doug? Okay, thank you, Doug. This is a public hearing, and I have a couple of people signed up here. Of course, we'll get to the other. Mr. Thurman, I have you signed up to speak if you'd like to come to the council, sir. And this, Lynn, this will be an opportunity to bring stuff up, put this up.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Council. My name's Gregory Thurman. I'm the Division Manager for Redwood Living. We build one-story apartment homes. That's all we build. We're builders, developers, and operators. We build our communities. We hold our communities and operate them in perpetuity. We do have a slideshow to introduce Redwood. My landscape architect's here to do that, not to go over the same material, but just to introduce Redwood so you understand who we are, the neighbors that we'll become, and who you're dealing with. I would like to address the road situation. That road right now is privately owned. We do not control that road. Now, I'll have access to it because we're going to request that and work through the ownership of that property, that we have right-of-ways, public right-of-ways, because right now it's being accessed by the general public crossing private property. So with all due respect, it should not be our responsibility to build a public road that's going to be redesigned when that frontage property goes to a commercial use. What we are proposing is off of the public right-of-way of Sechrist Price Road is having our private drive that we will maintain impeccably. I have to lease 119 units forever. So it's not like I'm going to put a landmine on the road and not take care of it. So we run a tight ship. We'll take care of the property that is our property and right, but that frontage property there is, other than maintaining access for the general public to use and cross private property, we'll have a maintenance agreement with the owner of that portion of the property, and it'll maintain its current status. So that's
Maintained an agreement. Is that gonna be an agreement that the road will be kept up in a proper way of the road that comes in to bring the folks in? And my question would be, and I know if you, in this building, as you've seen more than I have, where people will be living on a street somewhere, and it's a private street, and when it comes to time to be pavement, nobody owns it. Nobody wants to pave it.
understood.
And where's these folks gonna be?
Well, we don't control that
I
property.
know that, I understand that.
Yeah.
But,
Now, I will have a maintenance agreement with the seller.
yeah, but is the maintenance agreement gonna say he's gonna maintain this road, et cetera, and keep it up to, the way
I
it
will
should
put
be?
I will put that in writing, and your city engineer can approve that. That road right now is maintained in a perfect condition. We've been driving it for a year as we've been preparing our application here.
I've seen them just like that before, like you have. We've seen all them roads perfect condition. 10 years from now, nobody wants to pave it, nobody wants to own it, and everybody's mad.
Understood. Progress sometimes
I
has
know.
risks.
Yeah, you know better than I, and of course, I don't know how the rest of the council people feel, but that's how I feel. And I'm sure they know exactly what I'm saying.
I have to market my property, and I'm not going to let it look like an unkept.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I've had that song.
My comment was that you put it to city standards and then we maintain it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we can do that.
That's what I'm saying. We've got part of it anyway. You build it out to 74 to city standards and then we maintain it. You don't maintain it.
He's talking about the private part of it, that,
I'm talking about
Whoever
part
owns it.
that goes out to Highway 74.
okay,
Yeah, it's
But
just-
see, we maintain everything up to a point.
yeah.
And then there's that small area that we don't maintain, but if it was built according to city standards, then we would take it over.
Sir, that was built to city standards. It was dedicated and accepted, and it was abandoned when the Home Depot store was
Jim,
proposed.
Jim, you respond to that?
I'm sorry, I was talking.
Was that road built to city standards, the small area that's not under city control now?
At the time, it was.
Okay.
But is it up to par now?
He didn't have that much traffic then at that time either.
And it's held up quite well, I might add. It's been used on a daily basis forever.
What I'm saying with the new development, with those 119 units, and possibly 2 cars per unit, that's a lot of traffic that it would not have been used to. But if it's built to city standards, maybe it would have accommodated, I don't know.
I have not inspected that roadway, to see what kind of condition it's in.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions, gentlemen?
Are your retainage ponds gonna be the, up on the last one there, from John Moore? Are they gonna be sand, or will water be standing in those retaining?
Yes, those will be standing retaining ponds with clay liners and fountains.
Okay.
Yes,
And
sir.
will the overflow go into that stream that's going down the middle?
Yeah, there's a couple of streams. One is on the property on the other side of Woodlands Creek, which we own property there too. And then the creek that divides the property will be a receiver as well, as it is now.
The engineering doesn't show any problems with that excess water flow going out of there to the,
There won't be more water flow into that creek after we're done than there is today.
A general question, just for general information, how long have you been developing these type of communities?
Well, since '91, and that's why I was going to give a little bit of a presentation on who Redwood is. If that's okay, we'll give a 5 or 10 minute little presentation here, if that's all right. I'd like-
I'm sorry.
Well, Mayor said if council's willing to let him do a 5-10 minute presentation.
Well, yeah, if the council's willing to do that. Ms.
Okay,
Fox.
so if it's just questions and answers, then we can,
Okay. Anything else on Mr. Thurman?
My thing is,
We'll give you an opportunity.
I'm not opposing your project. But the mayor did have a real good point. I'd feel much more comfortable if that road was brought up to city standards and the city maintained it. Then you don't have to worry about it. Than if we don't, and all of a sudden we start getting potholes, then we catch all the complaints.
I understand that, but that would be inappropriate to ask us to do that when all of that frontage can be redeveloped commercially, and that road disappear or be rerouted or relocated.
What's gonna happen to your project if it gets
I still have my primary access off the public street that
Maybe
is
if you
off.
put up, Doug, could you put up a
Yeah,
map showing? 'Cause,
This is not
And
taking-
clarify what's private, what's public.
Yeah.
So I think there's maybe
Yeah, sorry about that.
This is basically, this portion from Woodlands Creek Drive back to Fowler Seekers is the public portion, and the private portion is from here, Fowler, to Highway 74.
So the part to Highway 74 is the private part.
Right, because remember when I had my presentation, because when this was all going to be a shopping center, the developer at the time, same night, they requested this portion to be abandoned because it was going to be filled up with parking lots and buildings, so the street was going to go
And
go
that's
away.
outside of the development.
Right, the portion they're wanting to develop is the portion outlined in blue, so this portion from here to here, they're not requesting do anything with it at all.
That's likely to change, and that's my argument supporting our request the way it's presented.
Would you say, I know we don't know exactly, but Doug, would you say that most of the people that exit there comes out that very end of Secrets to the 74 or Secrets Price Road? I would think they would come the other way, but I'm just asking.
Well, and you gotta remember too, though, with the DOT's on the super streets. So, because you gotta realize too, though, I think if people are gonna go to a Charlotte or go to I think they're probably more likely to go this way. And actually, truth be known, because if you after super streets, you would not be able to go up here to Seekers Price or Fowler Seekers and turn left to go back toward town. You have to come up here and do a U-turn to come back toward town that way, or go straight. I mean.
Okay.
I don't know how the traffic's going to disperse because
Okay, I know we don't know the answer to that, I'm just,
Did you say they gave you a 19-year lease on that road? You didn't?
No.
What if they come and develop that front part as a shopping center?
We'll have an
Where's your
agreement.
traffic going in?
We'll have an agreement that we have a public access through that property.
And they still also, they still at the end of the day, no matter what, they got the access to get back out.
That's right. We have,
Yeah, but if you put all the traffic back out on Bryce, Fowler Seekers, you're gonna flood it.
that's not true. The
Yes, it
engineering,
is too.
the traffic study refuted that.
Oh, I disagree with you.
Understood. Understood. The beauty of our senior-oriented lifestyle is we create traffic flow between 10 and 3 o'clock. We don't have an excess of rush hour traffic. We've been doing this since 1991. We have over 10,000 units of empirical data, and we're good at what we do. I'll pat ourselves on the back that we know what we're doing, but I understand the pessimism of some of the studies, even though we've proved them through the decades, time and time again.
Okay.
I respect that.
any other questions of Mr. Thurman? Here, none. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Todd Foley, would
That's
you like
the
to speak?
presentation that he was referring to. Give that-
Yes, sir, if you're coming, we need your name and address for the record. I know your name, but we need it for the record.
Good evening, everyone. Todd Foley, 100 Northwest Boulevard, Columbus, Ohio. As Greg mentioned, I'm the landscape architect and land planner that works with Redwood throughout all the different regions they've developed. So just want to give a really quick overview of their company and talk a little bit about some of the specifics of our site plan for you, hopefully to kind of inform where we've come
You'll
from.
condense it down a little bit for us.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Got a long way to go.
absolutely. So as mentioned, all single-story units. There are no multi-story units. This is not a traditional multifamily type of product. Every unit has their own private entry. Every unit is a two-bedroom, two-bath, two-car attached garage unit with their own. So you pull into your garage, hit the garage button, walk right into your unit, just like you do a home or some condominiums. They are prototypically across our portfolio marketed towards empty nesters, active seniors. We'll get some young professionals, kind of pre-family in their lifestyle. You're going to see a range of $1,300 to $1,700 rent a month. So again, this is not an entry-level type product. This is geared towards a little higher section of the market. And really, at the end of the day, it's people who want maintenance-free lifestyle. They want to live in a unit that's large enough that provides some of the comforts that a home has without the maintenance of mowing the yard, painting the fence, doing all those type of things that we do as homeowners. Every unit is designed with a zero clearance threshold, so there are no steps in and out of the unit. That's a pretty strategic architectural design that they have to maintain kind of a broad availability to people who may need access. So you can roll right in through your garage door, your front door, out your private patio door without having to go through any steps. There's walk-in kitchen, full-size washer and dryer, all the amenities that we all experience in our single-family homes are going to be there. As far as their location, they're in Ohio, Indiana, Iowa, Michigan, in South Carolina, North Carolina. These are the different communities that are either currently under construction or have been established. We have a few that are just finishing up the entitlement process right now. Specifically in the greater Charlotte area, there's a project that's under construction up in Concord. And then we just are moving through the plan approvals on a Ridge Road site with the city of Charlotte. So we're in the area, and we're excited about the opportunity to grow beyond that. So I'm not going to hit too much on the site itself. I think Doug did a good job with that. The one comment that was in one of the staff reports about adding the sidewalk out along Seacrest Price Road, we absolutely intend to agree with that, and we'll do that as part of our project. It doesn't show up on the site plan, but we think that'll be a good benefit as well. And I think we've done a nice job trying to preserve some of the natural features of the site, trying to be respectful of the neighbors to the north of us with the location of some of our retention and buffering there. And trying to preserve some of that existing tree canopy along Woodlands Drive as you come in as well. So just real briefly on the architecture, just to kind of expand upon them a little bit. That picture down in the lower right-hand corner is the architectural style that's intended to be on this project. There'll be a stone facade from the ground level up into the peaks. So you're going to see a variety of different architectural materials to create some variation on the elevations. It's not all just going to be horizontal siding so you're going to see some shake siding accents above the garage doors. All the garage doors will have that windowed paned look, so it's all an upgraded garage look. Interior granite countertops, paneled floors, and some of the other amenities. They're all smoke-free. They're all pet-friendly community as well. And just overall, I think the benefits that we see on all the different markets that we go to is, the low density has a lot of positive impacts. It appeals to this older, active senior, kind of empty nester demographic. And in the case of this site in particular, we think this is a great transitional use to what could happen with commercial out in the front when we start to look at our neighbors to the north with the single family and to the east. So we're usually a very good transitional use, very complementary use in those environments. So with that, I'll wrap up, and we can take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Foley. I'm sorry, yes, go right ahead, thank you.
You said that, did I understand you said to be from $1,300 to $1,700 a month rent?
Yeah, so what I should have mentioned is there's 4 different building types on this site plan. Those 4 different building types will have a variety of different square footages to them, all centered around the 2-bedroom, 2-bath, but some are a little larger, and that's how we get that price point per month. So
What is
Is
the
this
square
rental,
footage?
not condos?
this is 100% rental, yes, sir.
I didn't realize that.
What is the square footage?
So they are, he knows that better, 1,300 to 1,400 square feet.
And another thing, words are really important. When you were talking about the sidewalk, you said you intend to. So do you intend to or will you?
It will be installed as part of our
I
plans.
want to make sure that that's in the language.
Thank you for clarifying.
I think that's required, is it not? I mean, the sidewalks. I mean, is it,
There was a condition in his staff report.
I just want to make sure that if it passes, that the language is,
is it required to have that sidewalk in there? or-
Well, on Fowler Secrets it is, yes.
Okay, okay, all right.
The stuff interior is not, because the stuff on the inside, on the interior, they're not streets. I was running in private aisles. All right.
Well, he said he's gonna take care of that.
The stuff on Fowler Secrets is required, but the sidewalk on the interior is not required, but staff did ask that they provide it, and they were accommodating to provide it, because on the interior, remember, those are not streets, those are just private drive aisles to a parking space.
So it's okay with the concrete, then? Okay.
I knew you were talking about the price for it, the $1,300 or $1,700 is high rent in Monroe and Union County.
Probably not.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for
Okay,
your.
thank you, sir, Mr. Foley. This is a public hearing. Anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? If you'll come to the podium, sir. Name and address for our record, please.
My name is Brian Hill, live at 3212 Seacrest Price Road, which is the road we're talking about. I'm not opposed to the whole thing. I think it's well drawn out. It's a nice little plan, and you can't stop progress. So it's going to happen. My concern, like you said, is the road. The man says that they promise to maintain their private road, but you know, like you said, 10 years down the road, are they, you know, really going to be there to maintain it? So we're really concerned about that. So if he promises to maintain it, then why don't he just make his road go directly into his development and just steer clear of the public road altogether, or possibly make another entrance, make two to go into there, or make it a public road. I just want the people on our road to hear a voice.
No, absolutely.
Or
I
you guys
understand
hear our
that.
voice.
I'm sure that's going to be addressed somewhere down. I don't know that. I'm sure it will be. But that'll be addressed at some point.
Okay.
Any questions of Mr. Helms? Okay, thank you very much. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, hearing none?
I have a comment.
Yes.
I just think we need to be cognizant of what our high rental rate is already. And, I don't know I'm gonna vote yet, but, we are really looking to develop properties that are for sale, so we provide home ownership. I just wanted to keep that in mind while we're considering that.
Okay. Any other questions, comments?
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
you know, if you're a developer, ingress and egress is the most important thing. And if there's a chance that that other road will not stay open and you're gonna funnel all this traffic to Fowler Secrets Road, you're gonna have a disaster.
Yeah, I believe he said he had many years under some kind of contract for the road, but I'm concerned about the maintenance of it. But yeah, I think the road is probably gonna stay there if they got that contract like they said. But the maintenance is, I was really, but I didn't mean to shortchange you there. But you're right, I agree. How about other comments, council? Comment, discussion? Okay. Hearing none, we'll take a vote.
Mayor, I move the resolution denying land development plan.
I second it.
Okay, let me get on the resolution. Okay, on item B. Am I on the right one? Yeah.
Item C.
Which one? Yeah.
First, you
Motion to deny
or
funding
resolution.
map.
Yeah, that's item B.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're on item B. Yes.
Mayor, I move to, deny.
I think, Mayor, I think you need a vote
On
on
the first
that
one.
first motion. I think it's been made and it's been seconded. That's correct.
Okay,
Still need to
Ms. Anthony, you made the motion, William.
I second it.
That's what, no, you did. I was gonna ask you, you do it again, and I think she seconded it.
Talking about B,
Yeah,
resolution denying land development plan compliance.
that's your motion. And you seconded, Ms. Anthony.
I did.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay,
Okay, Mayor, on B, I move that we deny the motion, deny that zoning map amendment.
Second.
okay, is that item C you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay, I have a motion, I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Item D,
Don't need it. That's it.
We don't need that.
You don't need
you
that.
don't
Mayor.
need D.
You're done after
Done
they
and
denied
done,
it.
let you
Yes,
do
sir.
these, okay.
Move on to the next one.
Okay. Anything else? That's denied. We'll move to item 14. Downtown incentive grant for East Frank Super Kitchen.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you, gentlemen.
My name is Matthew Black. I'm the downtown coordinator for the city. Today, I bring forth the Pronto Downtown Incentive Grant for City Council consideration of approval. The Pronto Grant is to attract new investment to downtown in the form of retail and restaurant businesses in order to build a critical mass of these uses through the occupancy of available retail restaurant space. The incentive offered through this program will support retail and restaurant recruitment into downtown by assisting quality business with upfit, occupancy, and other costs, thereby making downtown a more attractive option for business development. Today specifically, the new business, which I'm excited for, is East Frank Superette and Kitchen. Owners Blake and Cress Barnes have entered into the lease agreement for 209 East Franklin Street, which some of you know is the old soda shop, to operate the current restaurant/retail business. The new business projects total approximately 3,300 square feet of space and is in the downtown master plan area. The Downtown Advisory Board and staff recommend that City Council award East Frank Superette and Kitchen the Pronto Downtown Incentive Grant and authorize mayor to execute all related documents for the grant with funds not to exceed $10,000. And if you have any further questions or want to ask them, they're here today in the audience. There's you right there. So,
Okay, any questions?
Thanks, great idea.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
This food's as good
we'll have
as
to get a
restaurant.
public hearing.
Okay, go ahead.
And Oasis.
Go ahead.
Oh, you're saying-
Oh, are you through?
Yes, I am. If you have no further
No
questions,
I didn't hear any, no questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
thank you.
Okay. Would you
I'd
like,
like to hear more about the East Frank Superette and Kitchen.
I'll fix and ask the gentleman if he wanted to speak.
I'm a talker. Thank you.
Name and address for our record, please.
My name is Blake Barnes. I live at 810 East Franklin Street, Monroe, North Carolina.
Beautiful.
Okay. Basically, I have run a company in Charlotte called the Common Market. We started in 2001, and I learned really, really fast that if you do a Whole Foods co-op that you don't make money on, you won't be around very long. So I figured out and kind of learned as I went along. So what the store is going to be, store and kitchen, is going to be kind of a hybrid between a convenience store, a coffee house, a beer and wine shop, and then whatever else anybody happens to ask for. Pretty much I know where to get about anything, you know. So we're planning on being open 7 days a week because that's the only way I know how to do it, because I pay rent for 7 days a week, so I figure I might as well keep going. And that's about it. I don't know really how, I mean, I could go on for hours, but how deep you want me to
When is
get?
your opening date? You have a
I'm going to say 2 weeks, for the next 2 weeks, which, no, it's not. It's going to be December, man. We're cutting the floors for plumbing right now. It took a long time to just even get the permitting done, which I don't like. I love an old building, and I remember it as Ferguson's Hardware, where my dad bought me my first non-hand-me-down bicycle because I grew up here in
Was
Winton.
it swinging?
No, it wasn't. It was a really cool light blue jumping bike with a shock on it, and I broke it 2 weeks after I got it. It was awesome. So I grew up here, lived in Charlotte for about 30 years, and my wife and I moved down here about 2 years ago, and I'm city flight, you know, I'm tired, and I wanted to come to a smaller place that I grew up in, and want my kids to grow up here too. So
We're glad to have you.
thanks. I'm investing in my own community.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Martin.
No problem, thanks. And hopefully, yes, sir, the food will be good.
Yes, thank you very much. All right. Now, any more questions, comment? Hearing none, we're ready to vote.
I'd like to make a motion.
I'm pretty sure there's,
You got a question?
Mayor.
you got a question
I'm
and,
sorry, I thought, were there any public?
Well, I'm sorry I didn't see that. If you have a question, go right ahead.
no, I think he's actually asking also if there's any members of the public wants.
I thought there might
It's
be
not a
some.
public hearing.
Yes, it is.
Well, then you haven't got it marked public hearing.
It's.
But anyway,
Let's put it this way, the agenda item listed as that, yes.
Okay, no problem. If it's a
Okay.
public,
Glasses on.
My comment then is, 'cause I can't hear. What'd you say, Matt?
Oh, no, I'm saying if you can see that, yes.
I was just gonna say.
I don't know
the
if
bars-
Thomas could see that.
Really?
Man, if you can.
Oh, no.
You got good eyes.
Well, I was gonna say-
Yeah, we're asking for a public hearing and then the
It's on
approval.
14A, it's on the agenda. it
It's
says.
on the agenda.
Okay, just making sure.
Are we ready to take action?
Okay, no, I've got to call for some more folks to speak.
Okay,
Are you through with your presentation?
Yes, I am, sir.
All right, thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in favor? You're in? Yes, sir. Come to the podium if you will, please. Name and address for our record, please.
Absolutely. My name is Stephen Davis, and I live in Indian Trail, North Carolina. Address is 1106 Oak Alley Drive. My question is, what are the hours of operation? And the reason I'm asking is because I've noticed, and a lot of people can tell you that after a certain hour, it seems like the sidewalks roll up in Monroe. I'd like for Monroe to be a destination and not a thoroughfare. So I would like for it to be open a little bit longer than just till 5 p.m. or till 6 p.m. You know, if it's till 9 o'clock, that's something I'd be interested. So I'm just curious what the hours of operation
We'll
are.
get that for you, but we have some down there open at 9 o'clock, did we not? Yeah,
One or two, yeah.
yeah, well,
So yeah, I'm hopeful that more will be like
oh,
that.
I am too, but what I want to point out is, everything is not closed, but yes, I'm hopeful too.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And I'd ask Mr. Barnes, at this time, are you prepared with your hours of operation?
Yes, sir. We're going to be open every morning at 6 a.m. and at least till, we're thinking 9 during the week, midnight during the weekend. When I was building my store in Charlotte, I was sitting there by myself playing video games on a computer waiting for people to come in. So I plan on doing that again, if I have to.
No,
Hopefully
we're
won't.
gonna have a pinball machine.
We're gonna have a pinball
Pinball
machine. Yeah, no, we're gonna be open
You get a
every
poker.
single day. And if need calls, we'll stay open later. If it doesn't work out, we'll just slow it down a little bit. But we will be open every night, at least 8 o'clock.
Thank you, Mr.
2 a.m.
Warren.
every night in Charlotte. Don't really want that, but.
Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Yes, sir, come to the podium, please.
Yeah, I would. I know Blake very well. And my name is Dennis Craycraft. I own Backstage Unique Vintage Apparel, 100 North Main Street. And most of you, I've been here for 3 years. And this is, I'm begging the city council to approve this. We've been looking for more businesses to come into downtown. It's hard to stay open after 5 o'clock when everything rolls up and the only thing you have is one restaurant. So the more people that come here, the more we can attract here, I say the better we are going to be, because if we can make our city a destination, my business will thrive, his business will thrive, everybody's business will thrive, and we know what that means for the city. So that's really all I'd have to say. Please approve this.
Thank you, Mr. Dennis. Anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Yes, ma'am, if you'll come to the podium, please.
Hi, my name is Elizabeth Tortolot. My address is 5006 Paddlewheel Lane, Indian Trail, North Carolina. I too own a business down here, Peddler's Paradise, Monroe, right next to Stone Table. And I too beg that you please pass this, because we definitely, this is what we're all about. My little tagline for my business is not just a shop, but a destination. I do want Monroe to become a destination, and I know that it can. So definitely, I used to go to Commonwealth all the time, and Common Market on Commonwealth. But anyway, please prove this is what we need, and more of this. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else who'd like to address the council in favor? Hearing none, is anyone here who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
Motion to adopt.
I hate to be that guy, but it'll be the first thing will be is a resolution of awarding incentive grant, or I don't think it'd be denied since
I got to
you're
get
all
to-
very
It's
enthusiastic.
very obvious how it's gonna go, but who made the motion?
Mr. Andrews.
All right, motion to adopt resolution awarding incentive grant.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor? That's all we need to do now, right?
No, sir, you need to now.
Motion to adopt incentive agreement.
Okay. Have a motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Last one.
Motion to adopt budget
amendment.
Second on that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Mayor,
Yes.
make a comment to the people downtown.
Look forward to coming.
The contract on the Center Theater has been let, and that building is scheduled to be open next August.
They should start the work in early October. This is early, but I'm talking about like 8, 10, 12 days. That's what it's supposed to be, because he says it's lit. We're waiting on a piece of paperwork that we have to do before we can move, but the contract is ready to go, the people's ready to go. And also, the center down there, the Science Center, is also under contract, so you'll see some hammering going down there soon. So we are moving. We got some stuff coming in downtown that's gonna really help, we think, anyway. Thank you for choosing Monroe.
Oh, no, thank you.
All right.
I was born here.
Good afternoon, City Council, Mayor, Manager, Attorney, and Madam Clerk. My name is Teresa Campo. I'm with the Community Development Division. I'm here to talk to you about 306 Charles Street. When my division was first formed under the Planning and Development Department, Council charged me to do an analysis of existing parcels. This property was identified as a potential source for economic development. And under the North Carolina state law, in order to require development of a parcel after it is sold, the purpose has to be economic development. So I'm coming to you to ask for you to...
We can't hear the lady here.
I'm coming here to ask you to adopt the resolution for 306 Charles Street to allow us to set aside this parcel for economic development. Once the resolution has been passed, requests for proposals will be prepared, and put forward, and we will look to solicit proposals and bring them to committee, and then they would be brought to council to determine whether or not they were willing to go forward with the economic development use of 306 Charles Street.
Question. The property at 306 Charles Street, which we already own, and you want us to pass it for economic development purposes, give me an idea of what those economic development purposes are or can be.
Okay, so we're a little restricted on this parcel, but what we will be able to do is a owner-occupied home occupation or bed and breakfast would be allowed under that use. And the way it currently does with the closest 10, it's only 1,500 square feet for the minimum size. However, that doesn't really limit the proposals because we have a multifamily next door and we also have a care facility on that same block along with some public housing across the street. So we believe that if we were able to get twofold, the owner-occupied developed property with a supplemental economic development use in order to require whoever purchases that to develop it.
So in other words, we would put it up for sale or solicit bids for someone to develop property for those purposes that you said?
Yes, if we were to put it, the only other way to sell the property would be on closed bids and put it out, and then we would not be able to drive development. And council's directive was to develop infill lots.
And is there a time limit on developing the particular plot?
That would be part of the proposal, and that we would ask them to give us the timeline, and then that's how the committee would determine whether or not they were wanting to go forward with the proposals that we received.
I think the answer to the council member's question is that there's no time limit to start the process, but obviously it's once it's done and you have RFPs, and there would be a time limit imposed.
And then the city will sell that plot to the developer or the person that was going to develop for those purposes?
Yes, but it would go back to council committee to look at the proposals once staff has vetted it, and then it would come to council to determine whether or not they were willing to allow the conveyance of that property for the development.
And this would be at no cost to the city?
No, it's at no cost to the city. It would. Now, I say that, but there could be people that come forward and ask for something, and that would be up to council to decide whether or not they accepted that.
So in other words, someone could have a proposal that would require us to have us fund it.
That's not what we're looking for, but I don't want to take it off the table, because once you put out something to the public and say, this, we're looking for proposals to develop property based on these things, we would have to accept anything that was sent to us to look at it and present, but we're not tied to accept any of the proposals. We can always deny everything and restart.
But would it be illegal when we put the proposal out, to say if a person is prepared to financially pay for it?
Because you said, would it be legal, I'm going to ask the attorney to answer that question.
You could place conditions, reasonable conditions, and depends on what those conditions council would want or staff would develop and ask council to approve. So it could be that you say to them, it's not going to be something where there's an incentive from the city, but as Campo pointed out, you don't want to foreclose that until you know what you're doing going to do.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, ma'am.
So staff recommends the council adopt a resolution to hold and convey this property for economic development purposes.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. I have one signed up to speak. Mr. Yanachek Robert.
Mr. Mayor, Robert Yanachek, 513 Everett. I guess that used to be a house that the city demolished years ago. I'm all for developing that. My only thing would be in a transitional neighborhood, from my experience, if we could somehow get ownership of that property would be the best thing. And I'm not sure exactly how that would work. Like I said, in a transitional neighborhood, that area is probably about 90% of the property is rental. So it's very difficult to turn that area around. There's other programs in Charlotte where they put school teachers in, firefighters, police, things like that. Reduced rate, and also it's in the historic district, so I just kind of request that it follows the guidelines with the historic district as far as architecture or whatever they decide to do in the long run. So, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, anyone else who would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing and take action.
Mayor, I would like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing property to be held for disposition with conditions attached.
Yes. Second. Have a motion and a second. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that'll pass. Okay, item 16, city property on 106 and 108 Myers Street.
This property was acquired through foreclosure. It was originally had large code enforcement liens for demolition. It was zoned institutional, which allowed us to target it for economic development. So this was it's a new program that was just formed, and with other members of staff are consulted to be able to capture our liens. Many of our liens we found after 10 years were dropping off, and people were paying their city and county taxes, but were not paying their code enforcement liens. So this enabled us to do that. This property, we would like to follow it in the same route by having a request for proposals to allow an economic development use on 106, 108 Myers Street. It's over near the Rite Aid building.
Questions? Council, have any questions? Basically, the same thing we just went through, isn't it?
It is, but this one is not in the historic district, and it is the highest, best use of this property.
Right, okay. Any questions or comments? Hearing none, to have a motion. No, this is a public hearing also, yeah. I'm moving right along. Okay, anyone here who'd like to speak in favor?
Is this property there
Is it adjacent or does it adjoin the project of outreach property?
This property, although it does have the marker here at, on the street, it's going to be it's this vacant land right here. So there's no adjacent here, but it's behind the right.
If you, just as you go by, I'm sorry, just as you go by Rite Aid, or there at the intersection, you turn right, it's immediately on your right, Mr. Billy.
So it's not there, and Modine may not call it a project outreach anymore. It may be something else, but you know what I'm about.
Reservation now, but yeah.
Where Modine has everything. The only reason I asked is because if it was close to where they are, I was going to see if there was an opportunity to work with them so that they can maybe expand the program that they have. But if it's not, then it can't happen.
It was right beside Rite Aid.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Is anyone who'd like to speak in favor? Anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we'll close the public hearing. Take action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing property to be held for disposition with conditions.
Okay.
Second.
Have a motion, have a second. All in favor?
Thank you.
That will pass. Thank you very much. Item 17, Monroe Expressway update.
Calling an audible, got a quick change here. Let's see. Yes, I am. Let's get that up, Bill.
Thank you, Dennis.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Let's see. Here we go. All righty. Thank you, Mayor, members of council, staff, audience. Bring you greetings on behalf of the North Carolina Turnpike Authority. My name is Warren Cooksey. My office is at 12033G East Independence Boulevard in Matthews, 28105. The North Carolina Turnpike Authority is a business unit of the North Carolina Department of Transportation, and as of today, one of the newest, if not the newest business in the city of Monroe. So more about that later. As the agenda mentioned, a Monroe Expressway update. I don't know about y'all, but I like looking at maps and aerial photos and have for a long time. So Google Earth has been a wonder. Pulled this from their history of part of Monroe and the road network around it from June of 2015. When you fast forward a little more than 3 years, almost 3 years, you see up across the north a major change has occurred in the landscape, and that is, of course, the Monroe Expressway. We are very near to opening. We plan to open in late fall, and as a result, it's time for a presentation on Tolling 101, what you need to know. One of the lessons that the North Carolina Turnpike Authority learned from the Triangle Expressway in Wake and Durham counties about 6 years ago is that we should make an extra effort about outreach to local elected officials and civic groups to make sure that you are prepared to understand what we do as a business, so that when your constituents have a concern and they may wind up coming to you before they come to us, then it's not something new to you. We don't expect you to be experts or customer service representatives. We have folks for that. But we don't want you to be caught unawares with this new tolling concept that's coming to Monroe and Union County. In fact, it's not just Monroe and Union County. We do have the Monroe Expressway, as you can see there, coming later this fall, but also the I-77 Express lanes that you may have heard about in Charlotte and the Lake Norman area. While the two projects had their differences, one's a toll road, one has toll lanes next to free lanes, there's a number of other differences. The main thing that they have in common from a driver's perspective is that all tolling is handled with the driver through the North Carolina Turnpike Authority. It's us. Doesn't matter where you're traveling. If it's a toll facility in North Carolina, we are who you work with. Specifically, NC Quick Pass. And the number one lesson I like to teach on this is to make sure folks are aware that in North Carolina, we may do tolling, but we don't do toll booths. We have an all-electronic toll collection program, no toll booths, no stopping. That main photo you see in the middle is an example of a gantry on the Triangle Expressway that to the left and to the right shows you, some of the electronics that we have on that gantry to handle toll collection. So when you drive on one of our facilities, you don't pay as you drive. You don't stop and slow down for that. You just keep going to where you need to go. What we do have, however, is two options to pay. The first is to pay us in advance. We have a prepaid account process with the Turnpike Authority through NC Quick Pass. You get a transponder. I'll talk about more about that in a moment. And we deduct those tolls from the amount that you've prepaid. For those who would prefer a different option, we have a post-paid bill-by-mail program where you pay after you travel. The equipment in the gantry takes a photo of the license plate of the vehicle that traveled under it, and we send a bill through the traditional mail to the registered owner of that vehicle. And after that first invoice, last year we rolled out the option to receive future bills by email instead of by printed mail for those who would prefer that option. In addition to the fact that one pays in advance and the other pays after, I have to stress, and I will do so several times, that the NC Quick Pass prepaid transponder tolls are 35% less than the bill-by-mail tolls. So there's a distinct advantage to going on prepaid with the transponder. We have three main types of transponders to meet folks' needs. The standard is called the NC Quick Pass. It is this little sticker here. You can see it on there. It sticks onto the windshield by your rear view mirror. If you place it right as the driver, you'll never see it because you can hide it behind your mirror. We will give you one of these for each of your cars when you open an account with us and make the initial $20 or deposit or whatever needs to be deposited for the number of cars you have. And this particular sticker works to pay tolls in advance, not only in North Carolina, but also for Peach Pass facilities in Georgia and Sun Pass facilities in Florida. So it's kind of our local, regional option. For those who travel more, we have an Easy Pass branded transponder, the NC Quick Pass Easy Pass. Hard case, a little more technology here, so it's $7.40 plus tax. Also mounts on the windshield, like the image shows. With this transponder, one of the reasons it costs more is there's more technology in there because it works not only with Peach Pass in Georgia, Sun Pass in Florida, but also with all the Easy Pass states to the northeast of us. So from Illinois to Maine, West Virginia Turnpike, all the toll roads in Northern Virginia, all those, this works there as well. And this all works backwards as well. Anyone with an Easy Pass, a Peach Pass, or a Sun Pass travels on North Carolina's toll roads with the prepaid transponder rate, and we bill their transponder accounts. There's a third option I won't spend a lot of time for this audience on that we recently unveiled. It's specific to those special toll lanes on I-77. One of the provisions of those lanes is that a high occupancy vehicle with 3 people or more can travel toll-free if they declare that they are that kind of a vehicle. And we have a special transponder that allows people to flip a switch and say, I've got 3 people in my car, let me travel in these separate lanes without paying a toll. This does not apply to the Monroe Expressway, but it is part of our offering. So I want to clarify that it's one of the transponders available for folks who would like that option. I mentioned bill by mail. We have gone through several iterations of the envelope design over the years to make sure people know this is a bill. There is an invoice enclosed. We are expecting payment because that's the deal with folks when they travel on the road is that we are expecting a payment for it. We have bonds to pay off.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, yes, sir.
How much would it cost?
We're getting there.
Okay.
We're getting there. It's in the presentation, I assure you. We're building to that.
All right.
The bill-by-mail process, though, works by standard bill. Postal Service delivers the bill. You get it. A person opens it. Looks like a bill. There's an amount in the upper right to pay. In the middle, we have a photo of the license plate that we took so that you can match it and make sure that we did send it to the correct person. There's a listing of all the toll gantries that license plate went under and was photographed going to. And that's the bill. We try to be very customer-oriented. We have multiple ways to pay. We will accept payment on our website at ncquickpass.com. You can pay through calling our toll-free number, talk to a customer service representative, 877-MyPass. You can send a good old-fashioned check with a stamp and an envelope to our P.O. box. Or, and I'll talk more about this in a future slide as well, we do have customer service centers where you can work with somebody in person to pay the bill. So if you want to pay in cash, we will take that at the customer service center. Payment on these bills by mail is due within 30 days. Very important question that comes up at this point, in addition to a reminder that you can sign up for that email delivery, and we've got several thousand people who are doing that now. But we do get asked, what if I don't pay? Well, if you pay the first invoice, that's not really an issue. The first invoice just has the toll amounts at the bill by mail rate. Pay that, and we're done. But for the rest of this process, we are governed by state statute. The legislature has placed into law what we as the Turnpike Authority do in the event that the first bill isn't paid. Namely, the second bill carries the unpaid balance forward and adds a $6 processing fee, plus any tolls that were incurred after that first bill. Pay that one, we're done. If this bill isn't paid, then the statute carries forward the unpaid balance, $6 processing fee, and now there's a $25 civil penalty. This is where people sometimes get very surprised, but it is all outlined by statute, written into law, and this is what we follow. By the fourth invoice, we're back to the unpaid balance and a $6 processing fee. That civil penalty occurs once in a particular time frame. But by the fourth invoice, we are empowered by state law to put a registration block on the license plate. So if someone hasn't paid an invoice by this point, they go to DMV to renew their plate, there's a block. There's actually a long list of things that could cause that kind of a block. DMV's got the list on their website. We are one of several activities that can create a registration block. But we hope it never comes to that. But it sometimes does. And so we know that when folks turn to their local elected officials with this question about this Turnpike Authority bill, we don't want you to be surprised that it exists. So that's one of the reasons I'm here. Monroe Expressway itself, here's one of our maps showing it, demonstrating the roughly almost 19-mile length from end to end. The green dots represent the interchanges, the places to get on and get off. This is a divided highway, very high quality, 4 lanes for most of it. It's 6 lanes in the western part. Each of the white spots shows, or a little white rectangle shows where a toll gantry roughly is. But we are very comfortable in saying anyone taking this from end to end will save more than 15 minutes of travel. Depending on the time of day, it could be more. Depending on the kind of vehicle you drive, it could be more. But it will be signed at 65 miles an hour. There are no traffic signals. There are no stop signs. There are no toll booths. Just travel. And speaking of traffic signals, it does go around more than 25 traffic signals. I had a poster with this at our NCDOT Division 10 Health Fair. A couple of guys based in Union County came up, saw that, and one of them began listing the cross streets where every traffic signal on US 74 is. It was an impressive feat. I was glad I was able to see it because he knew every one of the traffic signals that the Monroe Expressway doesn't have. Now we come to how much. Because once you see the road, you see what the benefits it can provide, you've got to evaluate whether the cost of it is worth it. Roughly, of course, I'm going to tell you what the lowest introductory rate is. If you're driving a 2-axle vehicle, we call that Class 1, and you have one of our prepaid transponders, you can figure about 14 cents a mile. So from end to end, that would be $2.54. We have a chart, and remember, can't believe I missed this cue. Always stress that those transponder rates are 35% less than the bill by mail rates. So bill by mail is going to be a little higher per mile. We do classify vehicles based on the number of axles. So a Class 1 vehicle, 2-axle, by far the most common, pays that Class 1 rate. If a vehicle has 3 axles, a truck with 3 or a 2-axle vehicle pulling a trailer, that rate is twice what the 2-axle rate is. And for the bigger rigs, 4 axles or more, that rate is 4 times the 2-axle rate. And it all gets shown on signs on the expressway. We'll have these in between every interchange showing the NC Quick Pass rate, the bill by mail rate to the next exit, and the amount to take you to the end of the facility, which will officially be signed as the 74 bypass. But at the Turnpike, we're always going to call it the Monroe Expressway. We have a chart available, and these are available online too, to show you point to point what the toll rates would be. This happens to show the entry point to exit point for that 2-axle Class 1 vehicle with the transponder. So for example, when I was at Wingate University for opening of classes, there was a lot of interest by faculty and staff. Well, how much is it going to cost me to come to work? And they'd start wherever they start, wherever they'd finish at Austin Cheney Road and figure out what the amount would be. I mentioned customer service. I want to emphasize that telephone number that we have to contact us, 877-7-MyPass. Business hours Monday through Friday, plus Saturday hours 9 to 2. Our call center is located in Morrisville in Wake County. Our website, however, available 24/7, ncquickpass.com. You can open an account, manage your account, see what toll gantries you've been under. Keep track of everything to do with your account. Pay your bill by mail, in fact, online as well. I mentioned customer service centers. We now have 3 as of this morning. We opened our Monroe facility this morning. I'll show a little something about that in a moment. It's at 3034 Winston Avenue, which was almost the address I gave you when I walked up, but just for the fun of it. We have a facility that opened up in Charlotte at WT Harris Boulevard. That's the interchange of Harris Boulevard and 45. And our original facility in Morrisville is not just the customer service center, as I mentioned, it's also our call center. Our hours of operation for all these, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, Saturdays, 9 to 2. And while we build these or rent these, build them out near a tolled facility, as we are required by state statute, they are not specific to a facility. So if you have a bill for travel on the Triangle Expressway, you can pay it in Monroe, you can pay it in Charlotte, and all the way around. In fact, we've had people, ever since the sign went up on the Charlotte building, we've had people saying, can I pay my bill? And we've said, not yet, wait till we open. So we're getting that done with customer service centers. If you're curious about where Winston Avenue is, it's not a street that's probably top of mind for many. Going back to that aerial, getting you kind of oriented, we are right here. It's in the Novant Health Plaza, off of Wellness Boulevard across from Target. So we think it'll be a very accessible place to be. We have a traffic signal to get into and out of the place. So we look forward to more and more people visiting us at our customer service center there at 3034 Winston Avenue. Following the footsteps of the mayor, this was a tweet from our Twitter account earlier today at opening. We were pleased to welcome the mayor as our first customer for the opening of the Customer Service Center in Monroe, and we got him all set up. That's Jim Walker, our board member, and Lisa Dunstan, our greeter at the facility. So happy to have the mayor help kick us off this morning.
I get the first 1,000 mile free.
I don't remember that part of the conversation, Mayor. And I'll close with some statistics. I have mentioned the Triangle Expressway several times during this presentation. We've been operating that for more than 6 years now. More than 6 years now. It opened in January of 2012 for tolling purposes, and we've been adding to it ever since, and we'll continue to add to that facility. But as of our last quarterly report for the Triangle Expressway, June of 2018, we've noted that we have had more than 180,000 transponder accounts established with us. We have issued more than 395,000 transponders because it's possible to have more than one transponder per account. We don't have separate accounts for each of your cars. We put all your cars under one account, get you squared away. And finally, we have reached 4.5 million plus transactions per month, defining a transaction as each time a vehicle goes under one of those gantries. This is what we built on basically a nearly 20-mile long stretch of the Triangle Expressway over the past 6 years. We are looking forward to expanding those numbers with our business out of the Monroe Expressway, the I-77 Express lanes. So thank you again, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity, and I'm pleased to close by noting there is no public hearing and there is no required vote. This is just for information, but I am open to any questions.
Warren, I've got one.
Yes, sir.
Why is the call center in Mooresville instead of Monroe?
Because we have had the call center in operation for 6 years, and we had that facility when the Triangle Expressway opened up.
Saving money, good, okay.
Yes, sir. So we weren't going to relocate the call center, that we have a perfectly good call center built out.
And Warren, so people know exactly where it is. It's between Verizon and Olive Garden.
Yeah. Same building as Sprint. Let me give credit to both cell phone providers are in the area. We're in the back of the building that Sprint's in the front, but Verizon's there too.
Olive Garden, first intersection, the left on the right.
Yes, sir. Go through the traffic circle. It's kind of fun.
First left when you go in.
Get your transponder and breadsticks.
Yes, sir. Okay, any other questions?
Presentation.
Well, thank you kindly. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Warren.
Let me get this out of your way here. I was going to say that. There we go.
This is public comment time, and I have one person sign up on public comments. Ms. Brown, Matthew Brown. Okay. Is anyone here who would like to address the council on public comment period?
I'll say something. I can't go to a meeting without saying something. Robert Yanchuk, 513 Everett Street. First, I want to say I appreciate the enthusiasm from all the downtown businesses that are really trying to get involved. I know Blake Barnes, my brother's known him for years, and I've had a lot of coffee at their store in Charlotte. So it's exciting to see people taking a risk on downtown. There are some issues I think that the council and us need to address. A lot of the people here tonight with the condition of some of the buildings that are occurring downtown. Walk the dogs every night, usually, and seen some of the degrading of some of the buildings, and I think we as a city and especially the council need to make a special effort to help these people that are taking the risk, putting their finances into our city, taking the risk to stay open every night, every day, when they're surrounded by buildings that are falling apart. It's very difficult to bring people in if they don't feel that it's a welcome downtown. So as a group of folks, we're going to get together and try and come up with some brainstorming ideas to try and get things moving with the downtown. Like I said, I'm excited to see things, and Blake and them getting it going. I think it's a good thing. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing none? I'm sorry, Billy?
I have something, if the public doesn't have anything
Yes,
else.
okay.
I'm hoping that by the end of the year, the staff will have put together the RFPs for companies to bid on our solid waste services. And in preparation of that, I would like for us to see if there's a way that the citizens can have an opportunity to forward complaints to the city, so that as we start looking at requests for proposals, that we can hopefully incorporate some things in the requests for proposals that will help to alleviate some of those complaints that we're getting now. And I'm not sure who's on the staff that is responsible for receiving complaints and trying to work with our current provider to alleviate some of those problems, but I'd like to know who that is so that I can provide that information to citizens that have been complaining to me.
You talking about Miss Laura Broom?
She handles the solid waste.
Yeah, Laura Broom Solid, she handles that.
If you would just email me that information.
Yes, okay,
Please,
good.
Bridget.
Anyone else, council? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to go in closed session.
I move to go into closed session pursuant to NCGS section 143-318, 111A1, and A6, to prevent the disclosure of information that is privileged or confidential pursuant to the law of this state or of the United States, are not considered a public record within the meaning of Chapter 132 of the General Statutes, and to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness of, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or employee.
See, Chief.
Mayor Pro Tem, ask for a second.
Second.
Ask for a second.
Do we have a second?
You can second it yourself, Mayor Pro Tem.
All right, I second it. All in favor, say aye. Aye.